Station 3, dominant and recessive. Directions: use your slide notes over dominant and recessive. Also read over the general definitions for dominant and recessive below. Finally, answer the questions below. Dominant: 1. Ruling, governing, or controlling. Having or exerting authority or influence. 2. Occupying or being in a commanding or elevated position. 3. Main, major, chief. Recessive: tending to go, move, or slant back, receding. Questions to answer. In general, what does it mean to be dominant? In general, what does it mean to be recessive? If I said brown hair was more dominant than blonde hair, which would you expect more of? If we represent dominant and recessive with letters, what types of letters, capital or lowercase, would we use for each one? Why? In this picture from our textbook, you can see that Mendel bred one type of pea plant with a second type of pea plant. And in each one of these generations, you saw only one of the parents. So when a round and a wrinkled parent were crossed, all of the offspring were round. That means that the round trait is dominant to the wrinkled trait, which would be recessive. When a yellow pea plant was bred with a green pea plant, all of the resulting offspring were yellow. That means that yellow pea color is dominant to green, and green would be recessive. This would be the same for all of the traits that follow. Gray is dominant to white, smooth is dominant to constricted, green pod is dominant to yellow pod, axial flowers are dominant over terminal flowers, and tall flowers are dominant over short flowers. These are the PowerPoint slides. Summarize the principles of dominance. Principle of dominance. Some alleles, different forms of the gene, are dominant while others are recessive. Dominant always is the trait that is shown. We show this as having a capital letter. Recessive will only show the trait if the dominant is not present. We show this as having a lowercase letter. Homozygous, organisms that have two identical alleles for a particular trait. This can be dominant or recessive, also known as true-bred or purebred. An example, big T or little t. One would be homozygous dominant, big T, and the other homozygous recessive, little t. Heterozygous, organisms that have two different alleles, also known as hybrids. Example, big T, little t.